guys. Here we go. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. It's Thursday. It's a Throwback Thursday. I love doing these because obviously the reason why I started my brand, for those of you guys who do not know, was because I freaking failed a lot in my journey, dude. I failed a lot. I learned a whole heck of a lot throughout that journey. I just really struggled when it came to the application of the things that I learned. So it was a mess, but I've been wanting to do this for a while. Found a hard drive with all of my minor league videos from before 2018. I gotta say, dude, frickin' it's frustrating watching this. So when I was younger, I used to think like pitching mechanics were basically like kind of set in stone based off of like what you were trying to do mentally. You know, like thinking about your pitching mechanics was what was going to allow you to have the specific pitching mechanics you have. This is why I am so frickin' passionate about the environment you put yourself in. I know it sounds like bad advice, but for those of you guys who ask, like, how do I throw harder? You literally just throw harder. The body is a byproduct of the movements that you give it and feed it every single day. Case in point, dude, because like 2010 was the first year I got drafted, was my first professional season. It was the first time I was introduced to this concept of save your bullets, even though I was still actually long tossing and like trying to throw hard. That season was more about like the maintenance and getting used to the 5-day pitching starting routine, right? There wasn't a huge emphasis on like velocity for me. You know, like I already had thrown enough to get me drafted 88th overall. So now it was like about the fine tuning, right? So it's in my mind that I need to fine tune specific things like mechanics, leverage, and off speed pitches, how to sequence, how to read hitters, all these other things, right? 2011 comes along. Same kind of concept. It was more about the curveball. Now I'm really trying to develop a curveball. The velocity stuff kind of goes out the back door. And dude, fast forward all the way to the point in which I'm literally getting released by Pittsburgh in 2014, where I'm like, holy smokes, dude, I like literally haven't prioritized velocity. It's tough to blame like specific organizations, but this is why I'm so passionate about the things that you do each and every day from a throwing standpoint. Again, not everyone's going to be just like me. Not everyone's body is going to be like me and how it responds to the stimulus and the training. But holy smokes, it's frustrating watching my video from like 2013, because looking back, 2013, I was in a pretty good spot, dude. I had my probably best statistic year in 2012. My first year with Pittsburgh, being a sinker ball guy. You know, again, sinker ball, command, like all these power output ideas get thrown out the window, right? And so for me, the power output idea of it was like my athleticism. So that's why like in 2015, granted I stopped being a starting pitcher, went to the bullpen, but the idea of like, I'm just going to throw it as hard as I can, right? And see what happens, because I got released in 2014 and I needed to get a job. The only way I was to get a job in affiliated ball was to throw hard. Like that's just the reality of it. So then it was like, oh, the demand for freaking velocity was so high. And then I just put myself in environments that like the body's so adaptable, dude. It's crazy. That's why like, dude, to throw hard, you just got to throw hard, right? So take it from me. Again, everyone's going to be different, right? Everyone's going to be different in how their body organizes and everything. But man, I promise you, dude, if you just set yourself up with the right environment with your training, you develop just a good structured plan, like you will gain velocity. That's why we're just seeing so many guys just throw so hard now, is because like the secret's out. Right? Like you got to throw hard. So like people are now just becoming a little bit more smart with how they go about the task of throwing hard. Like if you're an athlete, that's why like foundation of athleticism is so important. Growing up with an athletic foundation, playing different sports, having your body organized in different ways to complete different styles of tasks, right? Whether it be on the hardwood or the freaking football, soccer field, like hacky sack, all these things. You develop that athletic foundation, dude. The body's equipped to be able to adapt to anything, man. So it's like, it's going to know how to organize to produce power output. You just got to feed it that information. You got to feed it that task. For me, early in my career, that's where like, I hate to use the word regret. I really dislike the word regret, but if I could adjust one thing in my career, it's those early stages, man. Like I still would have been mindful of throw hard, have the mental objective to throw hard, because you can just see it, dude, from the course of 2010 to 2011 to 2012 to 2013, 2014, like just continuously goes down because I struggled with the yips. I struggled with my freaking mental head case, dude. And as I started struggling with that, it was never about power output, it was like, I got to command the ball, right? So the power output idea mentally got thrown out the window. And like now I'm sitting there grinding because I'm like trying to throw strikes. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at my body. Look at my movements. It's disgusting, but like that's the byproduct of literally just mentally stressing command and not mentally stressing like power, right? And athleticism. And then fast forward to 2015 was probably my best year from an overall, just like I threw my hardest, I had the best stuff. An argument could be made for Winter Ball 2018. But anyways, like looking back at my career, like that 2015 season when I literally just finally identified what did I need to think about, right? And just simplified everything, where it was like every time I went out, it was just like, I want to see like if I can throw 1 mile an hour harder today. And what I learned about myself was that when I had that mental objective, when I gave myself that task, right, in my head about just like throwing hard and every single day, long tossing, my body adapted, my arm adapted, and my movements followed, right? So it's like, that's the secret. I think there's always going to be a time and place for like implementing drill progressions, implementing like throw variations and things. But, at the end of the day, like it's so hard to articulate mentally the specific movements that you want to see when you throw a baseball. So instead of doing that, right, some people can, most people probably can't, especially as pitchers, dude, we got to think less, man. Like if we just simplified the entire approach to this development thing, dude, it's just like identify what you need to think to be at your best mentally. It's no accident. Like, ew, dude, look at the way my body is organizing when I'm throwing here versus when I'm throwing a max peak power output long toss or peak power output run and gun, right? Like the body just organizes just drastically different. So that tells me, like, obviously there's that fine line of doing too much, right? And like, and blowing it out too much, right? In your arm. But dude, if you go through an adaptation period and you slowly build to where your body and your arm and your mind can handle the workload, you're fine, right? Like I promise you, your body will adapt. I personally believe like the injuries just come from just the kind of bypassing the adaptation phase, right? And kind of rushing that. But dude, I want to stand up and show you this example. I got a camera rolling over there. Mental issues, struggling with the yips, right? Like, my body just goes, okay, I need to like throw it there, right? Not about throwing it there hard or trying to throw it through the catcher. It's just like, I got to throw it there, like, right? As opposed to the thought process of like, I'm going to throw it freaking through that guy, or I'm going to throw it over the fence, or I'm going to throw it through the net, right? Like brain-body connection. Find that peak flow and athleticism where this can just take a back seat. The body knows how to instinctually respond to the task. If you just do that, if you hammer the freaking repetitions over and over again, I promise you, your body will mold itself to throw that way. If it understands that the pitching mechanic task is this specific organization where it's violent and aggressive, then it's gonna do that when you go to freaking leg lift. But again, freaking trying to throw it, I'm trying to sink it, right? I'm trying to sink it, trying to have a little freaking movement on my pitch. Like, all right, turn it over. Turn it over. Turn it over. All right, I gotta be quick to the plate, fall, go, rush. It's like, dude, organize to where you're like, I'm gonna throw it through that mother fricker, dude. Guys from other countries, dude, like they're only, gonna get signed, like they throw freaking hard, so it's like their body just does this real aggressive, two seam. Nothing wrong with throwing a two seam, but like still with the mental intent of like, I'm gonna get after that two seam, right? Same thing. Guys trying to change speeds early, little combio, right? Turn it over. Like, nah, dude, like, I'm still gonna stay aggressive. Shoot. Anyways, I get passionate talking about that. I get really frustrated at myself too, because my dad, freaking Pops, literally set me up so good, right? Growing up. He set me up so good, and I freaking went and effed it up, right? Like, yeah, I could sit here and blame like this organization didn't let me long toss. This organization told me to save my bullets, right? Like, it's my career, right? It's my arm. Figure out what works for you, dude, and stick to your guns. That's it. Because at the end of the day, you got to live with yourself. So there's my throwback for the day. Some freaking 80 poo mechanics just looking trash. Look at the drive leg, dude. The drive leg's just fallen, not even existent. Arms just like, what am I doing? Torso and hips are going together. I create a little bit of stretch, dude, but it's like I'm disconnected. You know, again, I went through big time mental issues in 2013, and honestly, I couldn't locate a fastball to save my life. So I started throwing a crap ton of breaking balls because that was like the one thing that I could throw for a strike because of the low expectations. So I started throwing a crap ton of those, but it was all about landing them, you know? So I think my body just naturally started to organize in a different way to land breaking balls instead of like I'm trying to throw fastballs, trying to throw cheddar biscuits through the catcher's face mask, right? Like, take one thing from this, dude. Your mind, like what you're thinking matters, dude. And it matters when it comes to the way your body organizes. Because if you're thinking too much about specific mechanical movements, dude, you're probably going to move like a robot. I know from experience. Be athletic, stay athletic. Simplicity is the gateway to athleticism. Learn how much you can take on mentally as you go, right? I try to take on everything mentally, and I couldn't. You know, that was probably where I went wrong. Gosh, it's frustrating, man. In high school, I'm trying to get drafted. I'm trying to go as high as I possibly can. So honestly, the mindset wasn't even like results based. I was at a small school, like the results were going to come naturally because I threw over 90. But it was like the mental task was throw as hard as I freaking can, because the harder I can throw, the higher I'll go and the more I'll get paid. You know what I mean? So like simplification there induced those high school mechanics, which I still say are like so freaking elite, you know, because I'm literally just throwing 180 pounds, slinging it. And then I get drafted, go through pro ball, and it's like just the mental kind of objective changed, and that changed my physical movements. It changed the way that I move, even though like I was putting on weight, getting stronger, and I was throwing slower. So, dude, the mental piece is so big. Thoughts become things. How you think matters. One encouragement, biggest encouragement, think aggressive. And I know it's so easier said than done, dude, but if you can think aggressive and you can stay aggressive with your thoughts, then the body will be aggressive. The body will follow suit. It starts in the mind and then the body follows. So train this to be in whatever state you personally have to be in to be at your best, which goes into a whole separate conversation of identification. But you figure that out, and then you'll see results. All right. Anyways, hopefully this helps, dude. If you know someone that struggles mentally with their mechanics, man, send them this. Hey, but that's why I do it, dude. That's why I do this thing. You know, I failed a crap ton throughout my journey. I learned a lot. I didn't apply, but now I have a purpose to give back this information to you guys. So hopefully you don't make the same mistakes. All right. You guys want to see a seam shift split pay? It's appropriate that I'm wearing this shirt too, right? All right, that was fun. Much love, guys. As always, if you have any questions, reach out to me, therobbyroshow.com/ask. Take you to my question platform. And if you want to work with me remotely, therobbyroshow.com/coaching. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening to my rant. See ya.